Hi, everybody. Welcome to our celebration of National Poetry Month, our convocation celebration. My name is Jonas Werner. I live here in Freeport. I'd like to first thank Freeport Community Services for sharing their space with us. I'd like to thank Meetinghouse Arts for their partnership in this endeavor and bringing some live poetry to Freeport. I'd also like to thank my partner, John Egan, who was crazy enough to team up with me to make this happen. And I would also like to thank Tom Pierce, of course, for being here to film this because we're all going to be famous. Thanks to him. And also the poets that have come to share their work with us here today. I'm very grateful. And audience that are here just for hear the spoken word is wonderful. And if you've come to support somebody, even better. I'd like to start with an invocation for our convocation, but don't run out of the room until you hear the prayer. For those of you that are godless heathen. All right, I think we're live. Trying some high-tech stuff here today. Somebody's going to read the prayer for us.
Spring is like a perhaps hand which comes carefully out of nowhere, arranging a window into which people look, while people stare, arranging and changing, placing carefully there a strange thing and a known thing here, and changing everything carefully. Spring is like a perhaps hand in a window, carefully to and fro, moving new and old things, while people stare carefully, moving a perhaps fraction of flower here, placing an inch of air there, and without breaking anything.
Does anybody recognize that voice? That is an actual 1922 recording of E.E. Cummings reading his own poem. I just came across that yesterday. Well, thank you, E.E. Cummings, for that fantastic invocation. We appreciate you visiting. I guess let me tell you a little bit about how the open mic will work. It looks like we have, how many poets?
We got at least 7.
7 poets so far. So, yes. Thank you. 8 poets. Yeah, Mary Ellen. I saw Mary Ellen. So 8 poets. Depending on how much time I talk, that should leave us about 8 to 10 minutes each, okay? The way it'll work is, I guess we'll just go with the order we're signed up. Game theory worked out. When your name is called, just come up to the podium. Your timer will begin as soon as you get up here, so if you give us a 7-minute autobiography, we'll get 1 minute of poetry. I'll stand back there and let you know with my fingers how much time you hold up. How much time you have left. Yeah, that's what that means. And then just be considerate of the other poets. One thing I would like to say is that this is a very politically charged time in our country. And this is basically a live art exhibit. So I expect to hear all kinds of ideas. Some of them I may detest, abhor, may make me angry or happy or sad, but I hope that everyone will be considerate of the poets that read, even if you don't agree with what they have to say, because we're just here to share art. The first poet today I thought might be Mr. Best, but I'd like another poet to join us here who has passed. And this poet's name is Harry Lyman Koopman, and he was born in Freeport, Maine in 1860. And he wrote his first published poem at the age of 15, graduated from Colby College, was a librarian at Cornell, Columbia, Rutgers, and University of Vermont, and then went on to Brown University, where he spent the majority of his career, 37 years, running the library down there. He saw that book collection go from 80,000 to 400,000 books while he was there. And he was an interesting man. If you read his early works, he seemed to be very religious, but as he aged and experienced life, his ideas seemed to change a bit. He seemed to become more of a humanist and less of just a Christian. He was like a Christian humanist as he aged. One of the most important things he did in the 20s was fight against the book banning that was going on after the rise of the Red Scare in the United States. But I want to share with you a small poem from his work, early work, and then two poems from after he went through the United States and the world from 1900 to 1920. That was what was known as the Progressive Era in the United States, where people rose up to fight against poverty, corruption, and inequality. Workers' rights became an actual thing. And as those people started to fight for rights, they started to point it out as communists, which is how we ended up in the Red Scare. But just amazing things happened in just that 20-year period that he went through. And I think thinking about how some people in this room might feel now, it makes me kind of hopeful that we're still here, especially after you hear what he wrote about. So 1901, there was the assassination of McKinley. 1912, the unsinkable Titanic sinks. 1914 and 1918, World War I. 1917, the Russian Revolution and communist rule took over there. 1918, the Spanish flu epidemic, where per capita, 100 times more people per capita died in that epidemic than ours. The one we just experienced, 0.03% of the population died. In that pandemic, somewhere between 3 and 5% of the people on the earth died. And he survived it. And then, of course, the Red Scare, and then in 1920, women's suffrage. And in 1922, the same year, E.E. Cummings recorded that invocation for us. This book that I want to share, two of his poems, was published, called The Guerdon. But first I'll read an older piece, and you can see kind of the difference between the tone. It's called Revealed. Now, on a sudden, I know it. The secret of life. Why? The very green of the grass in the fields with betrayal is rife. The whir of the grasshopper by the wayside proclaims it to all. 'Tis unrolled as a scroll to all eyes in the curve of a waterfall. But for me, I can only wonder at mortals, the secret out, for they see, hear, taste, smell, feel not what heaven reveals all about. It's very rhymey, feels a little trite, I don't know, but after going through 1900 and 1920, you can see the tone changes. So this book is called The Guerdon, which is, in English, would be garden, which is not where you plant tomatoes, that would be the garden. It's a reward. And I found it interesting to note that the publisher, the first line of the note from the publisher says, the scenes of the events described is chiefly Freeport, Maine on Casco Bay. All right. The Death and Birth of a God by Harry Lyman Koopman. The death and birth of an age are the death and birth of a God. The generations of men, like the generations of leaves, follow each upon each, seemingly without end. Falls but at last the tree itself falls, and the leaves that toss are burgeon of other boughs. So the generations of men follow so long in line that the memory of none goes backward to the time when any faith was held, any God was adored, save only those whereof each has learned at his mother's knee. But behind all trees and gods are working growth and decay. And a generation comes which in its own time sees the passing of its God, the advent of a new. Then life which had lost its hope, and bitter and brackish had grown in the shrinking of its tide, that gray and sad had become in the twilight of its faith, suddenly flushes with hope, dawns into youth, and swells full-flooded with sweetness and strength. Or, it may be, between the death of the old God and birth of the new, a generation or more must pass in the night of the gods. It never knew the old, or only as memory, never as living force, and it cannot foresee the new, nor know if there shall be a new. That generation is mine, a barren rock between two flowering meadows, a hush death-like in dread between two bursts of jubilant song. But at least the grievous time holds a reward for those whose hearts in silence feel the steps of the coming God before from his viewless cloud he bodies himself to men. Yea, great is their reward whose faith has vanquished night, who meeting amid the gloom with sacred joy confer and gaze together aloft, wondering in what guise and when their God shall appear. All right, one more if you can handle it. You guys into it? Koopman? Yeah, he's all right? All right, one more by him. And this one kind of strikes a very similar tone, but it also, I think for me, felt very uplifting. Dawn or dusk. Under a cold gray light, our shivering instant we flit, poor motes, and then are gone. Not long enough we abide to be sure of the low-hung gleam, whether it waxes or wanes, is herald of dawn or of dusk. Could we compare the light that our farthest sires beheld with the seeming changeless glow? That is light of the world we share. Could we compare them and see which is more and which is less? We might be sure, but alas, we cannot see with their eyes, and the witness they bear is twain. Oh, were there only an art to tell the east from the west, but we know not whither we face toward the east of dawn, delayed, toward the west of gathering dark. Heaven grants us no sign, and earth, if it hearken, is dumb. Say not that it matters not. So short is our moment of life. Whether the coming change be toward the day or the night, that only our far-off sons and not ourselves it concerns. Can it be to us little care if we are children of light or of darkness, whether our world lies in the hollowed hand of the Lord of life or of death, that the being we transmit is a glorious heritage or only a loss and reproach? But of one thing I am sure, if our Lord be the Lord of life, he would never have set us a task, given us a problem to solve beyond our powers. And my faith tells me that someone someday shall discover a mystic power hiding in veins of the earth that shall tell us east from west and settle once and for all whether we face the dawn as far off as ancestors of the glorious children of day, or whether, nearing the end of a dying race, we leave to our children less and less of living light and warmth. And God is not in his world or has left it and is in his place. In his place, the power that is all he is not, the principle that destroys even now, is ascending his throne. But a whisper has come to me that even so we can choose, and even in the devil's world need not be the devil's men, that ours is a wondrous lot, the startling privilege to be in a world of doubt or a world of evil confessed by our own triumphant choice, the children of God. And so, though it matters whether our light be of the dawn or the dusk, its import is not supreme. Yea, greater worth may we win who choose in the blindness of doubt that whether the world we see be of the light or the dark. We are the children of light, on whom the dark has no power, for whom the night is as day. All right, so the first name on the list.
Eric Best.
Eric Best.
You signed up to be number one. Come on up. Open mic. Open mic means anybody can read. So if you missed the sign up coming in and you came in after we started, the clipboard with the big feathery pen, please put your name down and we'll get you on the list. Thanks for everybody for coming.
Hi. Well, I had a strategy in going first. I thought there's no chance I'm going to follow a really great poet. So it shows you the danger of planning. Thank you all for coming, and thank you organizers for making this happen. It's a rare opportunity for me. I grew up in Massachusetts. I have a house in Frenchboro. I spent a lot of time in Portland. I just got qualified as a substitute high school teacher. I'm very excited about that. And I'm trying to come back to an element in my writing that's been around for a long time in my life, but just not made public. I was a journalist for 20 years. Then I went sailing alone to Hawaii and back and decided to do something else. So if you took away one thing from my poems, I'd like you to go buy the book called Into My Father's Wake, and you might smell a bit of it in what I'm going to read here. I'm going to read a few poems. But wait a minute. So I'm not writing about the larger world, I'm writing about the smaller world. So the first poem I'm going to read is called Will. Something I did not understand about life until the year my son entered it and my mother departed. An expression quizzical and timeless crossed his tiny skeletal face, only minutes old, that had been hers just the same moments before she left this world. Resurrecting one in another to teach me that what flows also connects, holds us ever together, even when we might believe we are parted, alone, bereft, but live with all together in the bonds of family and blood, mixing memory through time and the ineffable code that carries us forward, bringing past life to life again and to love. The next is called Coming Apart. I did not know what a life I had as we took it apart, piece by piece, and doled it out by random chance, a few trades, furniture for silverware, passion for pragmatism, mysterious associations more felt than known, with little said about the whole that was passing away through our fingers, until I came back down that highway from town to city and spent a sleepless night unsettled, trying to gauge the measure of my discontent. Then I knew that we were all three letting go of something so much larger than any of us, and trying to cling, thing by thing, to the ineffable breadths and depths of our youth, and stages of becoming who we were now, in which first or early steps taken there so long ago could not be captured by every riser of the stair we now held apart among us, small symbols of the place we would always call home. This one's a little more recently, obviously autobiographical. It's called Coming Into the Island. I could not have known motoring into that small Maine dagger-shaped harbor on the island where we had never been before to pick up a mooring just for the night, that my feet would soon take me around the harbor road, a macadam necklace open at the throat, past a log cabin for sale up the western slope, whose mainland realtor would tell me over the phone. I just called to inquire what they might want for it. If you want to buy a house on that island, keep walking. So I followed the potholed road past the Dagger's Point at the top of the harbor, and walked back past a paint-peeling church with its weather-scarred steeple, past a set of fishermen's squat houses along that empty waterfront to a rise and open field occupied by a lone square Victorian two-story window staring, also in decline, before I came upon a white clapboarded colonial off the road to my left with a small partner cottage tucked under a twisted hawthorn tree, all empty and for sale, with an 1826 pedigree sign affixed to one corner, and from whose main house platform deck across the back, facing the harbor looking west, I viewed the opposing hillside, slashed across its base by that black harborfront road, rising in brown grass fields tinged with yellow to a sharp evergreen forest across the ridge, immensity of blue sky above, just a few houses scattered across that field, white, pale yellow, chocolate brown, spaced as if a painter had determined this composition, perfect balance of space and object, nature and what man hath made, etched across that upland landscape to become that landscape, and thought, I could live in this painting. So as someone who had just that instant fallen in love and knew that he had, I decided to let go of my home in New York and move my life to this island where I realized my heart had been all along. This next one, is there anything in that glass that I could drink that's not alcohol?
That's coffee. We'll get you
Oh, if you have, yeah, a little water. Yeah, I swear I'm just nervous. I haven't been smoking pot or anything like that.
There you go.
This one's called That Old Barn. It was the old three-tiered New England barn, ground floor for cows on the bottom, with milk machines and conduit pipes attached along the outer walls, and urine troughs in parallel between, like wide trolley tracks. Second floor haylofts on both sides to leave open space and air down the middle, as the summer mix of methane, heat, and dust was all too combustible, if not spontaneously in the stacked hay itself, then in danger of sparks. And the third level loft hung high in the middle on its own under the peak, as did a heavy rope descending from those top rafters, come to replace all that bovine activity that had been there before the three of us arrived. We hung there and swung there, conducted snowball wars between the upper floors, or brought friends to play sardines among the stacks of antique lumber my father couldn't bear to throw away. And one winter day in that capacious space, my older brother, with a sudden swift movement of his gifted throwing arm, released a short length of lath upwards toward a single swooping barn swallow, who met that piece in full flight and crumpled down dead on the floor between my sister and me, stopping our hearts for the final moment that was that small bird's last. Lately, I've been asked, why am I building a barn on this little Maine island in the form and period of that original construct from my childhood, now well more than a half century back in the mirror? And my answer is, because. Have I got, yeah, okay. This is the last one I'm going to read, although I'm getting into it here. And I thought I saw some young children in the room, but I don't see any very young children, but you seem to be possibly the youngest. So I'm just going to tell you this, the name of this poem is Syzygy, and it's a word not that many people know, and it's spelled S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y, just so you know that. Syzygy. I had been on Earth almost a sixth of my time, till now, before I heard this word, a gift from my older brother, who expanded my universe of language like a wilderness scout, bringing back the strange from the unseen. And when he unpacked this one, I saw that all we see, feel, and know comes to us in such instantaneous alignments, more fleeting than we realize in the moment, but imminent in their nature, even indelible. the part that stays behind, which might be a new ingredient within love, that by being felt for the first time is now known to exist, and therefore destined to be our companion forever. So that's it. I realize I should have said that syzygy means the moment of alignment among three celestial objects. And if you think about that for a moment, you realize that that could only be so instantaneous as to almost not be true at all. If you said, you know, Mars is going this way and Jupiter is going that way and the Earth is going that way, and there's a split second when they're in a straight line because the one in the middle went between the two on the ends. Well, that didn't last very long at all. And I love the idea because when you think about, I realized something, or I suddenly understood something, or I recognized something, it's usually because there's some sort of syzygy that's just happened, if you wanted to call it that. Anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Vonda Lerner, I think, was next on the list.
It's Veda. Yeah. Okay. Hi. I'm probably like the youngest one here. Yeah, 15. I could probably do 2 poems, but the first one is called Retch and Peel, this panoramic stretched out view is fat with panic, but don't let the title scare you off before the poem does. Do you know what it's like to feel real? I do. Time condenses into a single point. You have no future, no past, only present. The world feels 3D. Your field of view expands, yet despite the distance, objects have more detail than before. There's almost a magic in each movement you make, but sick with nausea, you just stare with awe at how everything stands so perfectly still and utterly fragile that it might as well mean nothing to you or your shadow's reflection in the mirror. So out of line with your mind, you can't even stand to look at it. The feeling leaves as quick as it comes. The world shifts back into its dull nature, and I look past the flat facade of my face into the future. Hope takes her place on the throne once again, like clockwork, which is funny because none of my clocks work, real or fake. A week could last a month or a day, but I couldn't tell you how I know the difference. I try to chase the pain of that reality every day, itching for another fix of valorous fear. Call it masochistic, but I sit curled up on the bathroom floor as I write this, looking to the ceiling for a new perspective, reminding my mind of the many ways my life could fall off course just to see the world in color once more. The breadth of its panic escapes me still. Only fractions of its power come here and there. Maybe I'll notice a crack on the corner of the wall or find another truth to destroy my future, and in full, glorious suffering I'll return. Or perhaps my brain is programmed to never feel as hopeless as I hope to be or real enough to chase my dreams. But I think if we give it a couple of weeks, we'll be able to see just how many paths can lead me back into reality. Okay, thank you. Next one, much more optimistic and a simpler title. It's called Try Me. She steps down from her throne, matter bending and tessellating in neon waves around her starry skin, her hair flowing back into the infinity she descends from. Larger than universes, grander than my ambitions, uncaring in her distribution of blessings and curses among those whom she crushes in her wake. Much like a semi-truck barreling towards you, she's nothing but apathetic atoms moving in accordance to mathematics. She won't notice if you live or die, but she will still kill you because she is huge and you aren't. As to why she'd shown such care in the crafting of my mind remains a mystery in itself, but why she came to me tonight supersedes the many questions I've ever bothered asking of myself. Perhaps she's just a figment of this organ she perfected to be so pointedly hopeful that it would go as far as to give her eternal being a form, to perpetuate the blind joy fueled by my dreams, destined to be broken by her very existence. Or maybe the universe visits every soul sometime once they reach the crossroads sitting between them and who they're meant to be, when all their desires seem so far out of reach, when he'll always play piano better than me. That's when she comes down to teach us where we belong so we can continue to feed the fire of the world that keeps her in control, a control any creature searches for. But whatever the reason, when she got on her knees and lowered her head to be level with me, in the back of my mind, I could smell exhaust. Then her eyes met my dreary gaze, a conglomeration of constellations that spoke of endless futures still untold. All I saw of who I was to be were infinite fuzzy interpretations of me's who tried just to fail and die alone, and inconceivable black holes of those who gave into despair. But as she stared into my mind and saw the paths my life could take, I could see the hazy outline of her mouth shift into a smile. She laughed a little and shook her head at the notion of hopelessness in my brain, and then all she did was grab my dreams just to simply tell us, "Try me." And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Veda. I'm sorry I butchered your name. Coming up. Fantastic. Kathleen, you're up next. And after Kathleen, Mary Ellen.
Oh, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this afternoon, and thank you for all of you for arranging this. It's wonderful to have real poetry with the people and hear your voices of the people who live here. I just love it. The poem I'm about to read isn't half as good as, isn't half as friendly, isn't half as uplifting. So I just want to say, hold on. There'll be many more optimistic poems than the one I'm about to read. I've been trying to process all of what's been happening, which I've been experiencing in my heart very brokenheartedly and with a lot of fear in the last, since the election. And I don't mean to insult anybody here who isn't, who doesn't feel or experience what's happening in the same way. And I'm not in this, I don't feel this is a personal, don't experience this in any way as anything personal. I think this is really about trying to open our hearts to what's happening, or at least mine, to what's happening. So I just, and I want to be as, well, that's all I can say. Okay, I'm going to run out of time and mumble. So, okay. 30 seconds. Thank you. This is a poem that's inspired by Walt Whitman, and it's called America, the Song of Myself, 2025. I am America. I am large. I contain multitudes. Loaf with me here on the grass. Lie your head on my pillow. Listen to my voices. Linger in my sorrows. I am the forest, the 100-year-old pine, the majestic oak ordered cut down by the National Forest Service, on the lie that my demise will decrease the risk of fire, not line the pockets of the corporations hungry for the riches they will earn from the sale of my body. I am the farmer from Ohio whose crop will rot in the fields. Ruinous tariffs have trampled my market. I am the farmer unable to feed my family. Soon I will lose my home, my beloved farm. I am the transgender prisoner housed in the women's unit, targeted by that blonde pimp with plumped lips who goes by the title Attorney General of the USA. I am the person held liable for the slashes to grants to help incarcerated parents bond with their kids, kick fentanyl addictions. I am the ocean grown warmer, shedding tears into the clouds that fall and flood the earth. The ocean grieving the loss of my eelgrass beds, those wombs of life, now dead or dying. I remember when my depths were teeming with fish and plant life, and whales sang, and dolphins leaped, and the octopus waved. I am the immigrant mother, afraid to open the door, be seen on the street, afraid ICE will sweep me up, send me to prison, afraid I will never see my child again. I am that mother's child, afraid to go to school, afraid that while I'm away, the woman who bore me and feeds me and comforts me will be taken from me forever. They told me America was the home of the free. They lied. I am the 80-year-old who can't sleep, afraid I will lose my Social Security. I am the student, afraid to protest the genocide in Gaza. I am the law firm forbidden to enter a federal building, the child who will go without lunch, the cancer patient unable to get care, the manic depressive unable to receive medication, the millions who will die in the next pandemic. I am the veteran protesting for democracy. And two, I am Mr. Big Oil, wearing my handmade shoes and my stand collar jacket, flying my company plane over the red man's reservation, searching for that black vein that runs under the endless fields of prairie grass. No more government regs, no more pansy climate activists, only the thrill of drill, baby, drill. I am the VP of your country, here to warn you about the evils of empathy, the sin clouding your mind. How will you care for your own if you worry over those unvaccinated black kids dying in Africa, or those immigrants shackled and flown to a foreign prison? Empathy is a left-wing threat to civilization. A quiet place here on the grass, no dandelions, nor biting bees buzzing, only green grass fertilized with the spoils of Mr. Big Oil. My grass, mown and watered, mown and watered. Mown grass, the high sign of myself. America 2025. Who am I? What songs will you sing with me? Who will write the words? Who will decide what stays and what goes? Who will love me? Who will protect me? Will I live or will I die? I'm large. I contain multitudes. The next one I'll read won't be quite as... this is about my father, and this one is about going fishing. And it's about Mother's Day, which is about to come up. So it's called Mother's Day, or Of Fish, Wishes, and Shiny Lures. On the Friday before Mother's Day, when ice out came to Maine, and the salmon rose hungry on East Grand Lake, Daddy went fishing, hastily kissing my mother and each of his 4 daughters on top of our curly heads. He'd toot goodbye, drive north of Medibemps to Rideout's fishing camp, where, with his brightly colored spinners, shiny lures, he beguiled fish onto his dangling silver hook. He took along his Orvis reel, his only son, friends we called uncle, and eventually sons-in-law, grandsons, and unfailingly the Jack Daniels bottle locked inside the black case he called the office. Like a room slowly darkening, my mother dimmed a little each day he was gone. She ignored the newly bloomed tulips, daffodils, violets, left them to wonder why their beauty failed to move her. Half a century gone, but on Mother's Day, I still long for Daddy to walk in the door, smelling of fire and whiskey, and telling stories late into the cold night, green eyes, sun-crinkled. Daddy, boyish and jubilant, beguiling the women he left behind with his big Irish smile, and in his hands, wrapped in white butcher paper, his frozen offering, pink fillet of gutted fish. How much more time do I have? Sorry? How much time? More time? 2 minutes. Well, I better not read that one. Let me see. What can we do here? How about this one? This is called Ring Around the Rosie. I didn't worry about that uppity hussy Death, for she was far away, sunning herself on a beach in the Maldives, drinking rum sours, polishing her scarlet nails, reading cheap mysteries. But now she's flown into town, sporting her black metallic duffel, Googled my name, penned a perfumed invite to the big dance in the sky. I ought to be filling life to bursting, scattering silky seeds like autumn's dry milkweed pods, or eating curly kale, or making amends to my sisters. But instead, I'm worrying what to wear, thinking about dresses, like the black taffeta that rustles like angel's wings, the one from Paris with the ruffle on the hem. When the Beatles blast Hard Day's Night out beyond the Milky Way, I'll slip on the long Madras threads I wore to the Love-In in '68, step up onto the cosmic stage lit by a million dying stars and rock all day on the dust motes of the universe. Later, when Elvis croons, Johnny Be Good, I'll wiggle like a moonstruck girl in my pink poodle skirt. Someday, my grandchildren will find Ursa Major, the dancing bear, low in the sky, exclaim, "Look, there's Gigi!" Silver sequins on her black taffeta dress. They'll remember when we'd clasp hands, twirl in a circle, sing that silly little ditty, the one that ends, ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
All right, Mary Ellen, step right up.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And, oops, sorry. Can I do this? Sorry. All right. The only thing I'm used to having in front of my mouth is a spoon. So, my first poem is written by Sam Hunneman. And I asked her if she was going to come and read this, and she said, "Oh, no, I couldn't." And I'm going to read it and try to get through it without crying, and I will know what she would have read. She wrote this in 2010. Mama swooped past, nearly taking my head off one night when I parked my car. For days, I didn't find it. It was dark, I was rushed, and she was on the wing before I focused. One sunny afternoon, I looked up to discover mud and straw, an earthy round muffin scoop of it, plopped atop the tail of a ski near the ceiling. Oh, that's going to need waxing next winter. And Mama's comings and goings continued. A day of wind and rain blew the door shut, and Mama lost her mind, frantic flutters, woeful whistles until we opened up, until she'd regained her nest. Yesterday, I looked up, and there was a head, a beak, and something else, second head, tail, wing, but unmoving. Even when I clapped, even when I shouted, even after I drove the car outside and walked back in to check. No movement at all, except my heart falling. Today, steeling myself to remove tiny corpses, standing on top of a tall stool, using my car for balance, steadying myself on the rusted column, pulling myself up to look, and there, a blink, just one blink of that small onyx eye, and a second, only a second, only everything. Everything else still unmoving, no movement at all, no movement at all, except my heart soaring. And thank you to Sam, who is one of the world's best storytellers, but her poetry is beyond that. I've got a couple more of hers. I'm going to read one of mine, and it's pretty short, so it's called Next Movement. They say baby steps, as if a little bit of progress is safe and helpful, as if to urge patience at such a slow pace. But that's not how babies step. She stands and wobbles and lurches and falls forward, whether to comfort or catastrophe, all the while squealing with primal delight. Today, I lace up my shoes, ready to wobble.
I pulled a fast one and put myself in the list. First, I just want to say thanks all for coming. We weren't sure what this was going to be like, and it's fabulous. So, and I'm sure you all have realized the richness in our community. So I'm going to read a couple. I spend a lot of time in the woods with my dog, and I listen a lot in the woods. A friend of mine introduced me to a practice called forest bathing, which, if you just think about it, is nothing in particular, but you can, if you put your mind in that place, then it really makes sense. This is called Floors Swept. A forest floor is swept clean, holding its leaves. Serrated edges of ash and scallops of maples tidy the path. Careless squirrels discard acorn shells as robins search for diamonds. Our mother is on duty to see that this place is picked up before I get back. My attic floor, creaking in the wind, does not hold the rain. Like the lowest part of the woods, under all the wisdom of oaks and elms, this floor heaves under too many books and not enough readers. Everyone knows first floor, not many see the second. A 23rd floor desk defies gravity, a floating stapler and a soaring lamp high above the asphalt floor, paved over a gravel floor, atop so many layers, a floor below, where Indians once chased deer into hollows and bramble. That floor is now swept clean of its weeds and damp leaves. On trail, bathing in the forest, I listened hard to hear a thud of feet on floors below a boulder perch. My own heart drowns out the telling news of who's coming, perhaps from the south. Josie knows. Her ears flit back and snaps a glance toward the sun. Am I just now hearing all the boots that crossed this stream past that oak when it was a sapling? I'd like to be custodian of forest floors. Waxing annually on and on. Out here, I preserve the dirt, scatter the dust, pile up the sticks, keep clean, crunching dry leaves, and feel small vibrations of all who pass. This floor records and remembers. Frost heaves and slides, mud and snow, and a green tulip shoot ascending in the warming air faces the sun. I'm a huge baseball fan, and I've not yet been to Fenway this spring or Yankee Stadium, my two favorite teams, hard to imagine. But I write about baseball and talk about baseball and even dream about baseball. This is called Behind the Dugout. Foul balls, unhanded pre-tar bats, pro player egos flying off the handle, dangerous seats were it not for the net behind the dugout. Base running logic explained and passed down, father to son, all ears tuned, delivering Zen at 10. Yoda coaches share stories of steals behind the dugout. One smoke between friends while waiting for the bell to ring. It's only gym class outside on this sunny day. Cigarettes, like all the fourth graders before them, sit in the grass behind the dugout. Back to the diamond, missing the entire game. With bulging biceps, he lifts the anvil of soggy, steamed, famous Fenway footlong franks over his head and shouts, "Hot dogs, get your hot dogs," behind the dugout. Lots of late April Tuesday night seats versus the Orioles. As orange is the new red, buses from Baltimore parked close on Lansdowne Street behind the dugout. This is why the podium needs. Home games best seen a few rows up, but close enough to hear chatter and cheers, spits and shits, click-clack of cleats on the concrete behind the dugout. Thank you. Last summer I wrote something called Spin around the time that Kamala Harris stepped forward. In that brief moment, and recently wrote a follow-up to that after reading that poem and thinking about where things are today. So this is called Spin 2. Physics says a spin is motion, albeit forward is another notion. Loose circles lose comprehension, measure from the man, condescension, but I like my odds for this solution. To be in but not part of, broken tongues speak not of love. Up in the tree come words from the dove to learn how to bend and not simply shove. Yet my fist neatly fits this glove. Nonviolence does not mean sleep. And honor and conviction we must keep, resist and stand while enemies creep, sing the song of the hill too steep, long arm of power poised to sweep. One day we rise and there to behold, as some of us once were told, mouths agape and blood runs cold, care and community bought and sold. Against this I fight and never get old. All right, next up is Jonas.
Thank you. Maybe? Did you start my timer already?
2 minutes left.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So now I'm going to share some of my poetry. The first poem, I don't like, I recently read a book by Stephen King, the one called On Writing, and he talks about how it's important to use your own vocabulary in your writing. Don't try to use highfalutin words, and I do stick to that rule, but there's some words in this poem that I just thought were so cool in Latin that I had to include them. I think it might be the first time I've ever included Latin words in the poem, but there's a couple of things that are in Latin or Spanish, but what they are is right after I say them, so don't worry. Or worry, I don't know, it's your life, you know, like, do you, as my kid says. Okay. Peniocereos gregi. Peniocereos gregi, cactus flower, lives for one night. It will never know a warm sun's power to embrace. It will likely never know the rain's tender fingertips caress. It's no apuncha, that prickly pear, fruit of a dry womb, sweeter than corn, covered in thorns. Worry most about the thorns you can't see. Translucent glow kids the size of a newborn's eyelash, barely there. But for the tongue, once hooked, the barbed end is not prone to release pierced flesh. It wants you to remember. The Sonoran Desert does not suffer softies or mistakes. The place can strand a well-heeled desert tortoise on the tip of a rock and set it in motion like a prehistoric seesaw, head up, head down, tail down. Tethered in center by its own weight, it does its best to free itself, but can only manage to a desperate rhythm. It rocks, grunts, hisses. As the sun sets, the stoned captive gets no assistance from Scolopendra heros, 420-million-year-old desert centipede, awakened early with enough hands to help to tilt the scales and free the boulder's trophy. But those hands and feet are busy now, on the hunt. And if a suitable hawk moth flutters by, it will stand on hind quarter and grab it from flight. Then, loaded nathostomes, pinchers, inject insect-only potion to disable its nervous system so it is passive to live consumption. This ancient segmented beast has designed a unique spiked cocktail for an insect, rodent, amphibian, or reptile, and delivers it by hand at the twilight desert disco. The sun now gone, the heat gives chase, the air cools quickly. A coyote yips atop a rocky crop, then two more yip, now many more whine, yowl, howl. The moonlit chill shines on the anxious Beniocherius gregi, reina de la noche, queen of the night, ready to flower, ready for one brief appearance. No second chance, no tomorrow, no Buddhist reincarnation. The community will bloom in harmony tonight. One chance to pollinate, one chance to attract a sober hawk moth. One. Each queen of the night will live and be gone before midnight, before the centipede descends like a column of monks into a stony crypt, before the moon hides in broad daylight and the rest of us wake to find we've missed the entire show. Thank you. Okay, this one's like a little amuse-bouche to clear the brain. I found some sunshine yesterday in a doorway, just resting there before its long journey across the universe. Thank you. All right, third and final poem. It's called Main Erratic. Everybody know what an erratic is? One of those giant boulders that gets left behind by a glacier. Okay. The Freeport you see is temporary. It has never existed until today, and never will again. The earth changes slowly like a shortened hour hand on a watch. You can't see it move, or see the face of a baby change, even if you never sleep and just watch. You'll never see it alter. But if you go away and come back, you'll find smooth has been replaced by countenance, deep thought, and wrinkles. That's how things work, she says, as I sit and cry. Things change, like a tornado's cruel twist across domiciled earth. Sometimes little remains. The place where a tree once stood, an indentation of a home's base, pieces of things no longer recognizable as anything. Because that's all we ever are anyway, right? She says. Let's not go all the way back, she says, to the time when only God walked alone on a humanless planet, or even to the time Eve and Adam stood confused by desire, temptation, and contemplated the apple, the snake, and the smell of fresh flesh and life. That's too far back, with too many people to argue with over why. Does not matter. There's just now, she says. This earth is not done. This main awaits change, Just 20,000 years ago, Freeport was an ice slide. Bradbury Mountain was 1 mile below the top of the ice. That's a big ice cube. The kind Zeus or God might need in a whiskey glass, because Earth was in a warming trend. Is still in a warming trend, she says. Since the end of the last ice age, caused by too many plants, she says, too much oxygen in the atmosphere. But this is a glacier, a frozen tsunami. It scrapes, grinds, carves a valley in stone as easy as a cobbler's knife through full grain leather. New ridges and peaks in its silent wake. At the ocean's edge, the melted glacier left the Harriseket River estuary. There is a place, I won't tell where, she says, the glacier left an oddity. It carried this oblong beast in its frozen womb. And when it finally gave birth near the sea to the truck-sized rock, the clever glacier left it upright on its small end, balanced delicately as if impossibly, like a penguin doing a headstand, or a fresh egg balanced on its small end. Only Brunelleschi knew the secret to complete the dome, and he wouldn't tell the men in robes. Some things should be kept a secret, she says. Like what? I asked. Everything, she said. Thank you, sir.
Sam, I think you're up next. Sam Kilborn.
Thank you. And you and my third cousin, 6 times removed. I can't remember the name. This is for you. Was I walking away? Nowhere? Just around? Not even lost? Suddenly came your head from beside me, face turned away. Big hair, large stripes of silver and gray, but out of focus. Did I glimpse a large dog, white? I am moved instantly, now no less. Shall we walk, I said, with no thought and unneeded. Did we walk? Do you not see? No. Eye contact was not missed, nor words needed. None missed. Sightless, but you saw me. I was found. You were seen. Is this blind trust? Does it keep us safe? Our shared soul, humanity at its essence? Thank you. I only have one more, so here we are. No, that's the wrong one. There we go. That's not it either. Oh, that's it. That'll do. Drool. The bubbles. Oh, the bubbles. The billiards burbling, the manifold bouncing, bloviating, bawling, the orbs of wet. Globular spheres of soak, shape-shifting, now circular, now ovoid, rising, popping, foaming in effluvial excrescence from the source of wetness. It rises, it expands, contracts, creepy crawls in capillarity, up, around, along all surfaces, invading all openings, immersing all open matter. The wet. Tiny orbs scintillate, glisten with a sparkle of pop, the whistle of wind, accelerating in cadence, building counterpoint to the calculus of accelerated centrifugal reaction, ceaselessly as if careless in concatenation. Ah, the liquidity now in crescendo, coursing directionlessly in droplets, collating in successive sheets. Now soaking all surfaces, infiltrating all interstices, inserting intimately in immersion. Overflowing all entrances, altering all substances, and oozing globules, circumliquefying all resistance. The drench. Ah, the sweet wetness now slopping by, floating in silky warmth, gentle ripples caressed with velvety softness. Safe soothed, slavered in loving care, the salubrious, silky inner sanctum. No thoughts to distract, no senses to recognize, but only to swim in quiet with nothing to need. A burst of wave motion, a pressuring of wetness, still cozy and cocoon. Floating in movement, a wet word of wigglage, a wogglage of wobble. Who would know? Who cares? No cares. Slowly a stretch, more to move, more to be moved, still sloshing and soak, less wetness, less space. No time to delay, no now, no then, no hurry, but no waste. Turbulence. Waves of surface, royals of whirl, pools of pushing passage, pressing, pulsating, floundering in passion, swelling and gorging in voluminous urgency, torturing in molecular intercourse. Atomizing integral interlockage, invading an iterative insistence, spilling with abandon. Soakage. Dripping, pouring forth, slopping, slippery, sploosage, hither, free-falling, facilely, filling all crevices, cracks, wells of space, displacing emptiness, expanding all hosts, vasting all vessels, slashing the splurge, splooshing, spilling, spluttering, the splacterage, splectificating, the splumnerages, splundering the spoutage, floating in wetness. Glorious, glittering, globulating, giggling, engorging, and granulating wetness. To be continued, or not.
Thanks, Sam. Next on the list, I have Lucy Carter, if I've copied that down properly.
Hi, I'm Lucy Carter. I'm 14 years old, and I'm a freshman at Freeport High School. I have 3 poems today. This one is called Cheers to My Broken Parts. I'm not the best at naming my stuff. Cheers to the mess I made, and cheers to the choices I make. Cheers to the dreams I left, and cheers to the ears gone deaf. Cheers to the loser, and cheers to the boozer who lost his way. Cheers to my broken parts and lost forgotten art. Cheers for the way I managed to stay when living is easier, healthier, peacefuler with them having gone away. Cheers to the way they won't see me the same if I show them my arms or show them my legs. Cheers to the park and walks in the dark and beauty in every way. Cheers to the secrets held close to hearts, and cheers to all my broken parts. Then I have one called Filters. Technicolor movies, sepia dreams, warm tones and beauty, notice little things. Everything bright, everything brown, everything perfect, it all crashes down. Now it's all modern, sweaters and jeans, Sabrina Carpenter, espresso machines. Olivia Rodrigo, guts everywhere. Where did it go? Does nobody care? Kids getting shot like nobody's business, but don't worry guys, this TikTok got millions. And my last one is one called Two Sides that I wrote about my best friend. Your bright side is the sunset over ocean waves, reflecting and glimmering, sparkling waters, like fresh fallen snow settling over mountains, light and gorgeous, shining bright, like the bright orange skies in crisp air. Sweet to the soul and cozy to lay with, like lilies of the valley, pure, loose, and free. Your bright side, my darling, your bright side always shines for me. Your dark side is the night sky in summer, deep blue to be lost in forever, like melting snow mixed with dirt, still shimmering bright in the sun. The leaves from a tree turning brown, crunching softly, a melody of nature. Like birds flown north again now that spring is here. Black and beautiful, dark and perfect, the ocean floor holds beauty too, and that, my dear, is the dark side of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. We were really hoping you would get some students. We weren't sure with school vacation week, so thank you all for making the effort. Last on the sign up, but that doesn't mean the last poet to be heard. Heidi Vierthaler? Am I getting your name wrong? I'm sorry. Heidi.
Okay, I'll take my mask off for the camera. I'm a very, very grateful person to be a part of this community, and I've lived all over the country, and I feel very blessed to be here today. This one is just something I put together yesterday. It's still a work in progress, but I think it would be appropriate on a day like today. I wish that I could bottle up the smell and ions of all the fresh rain and send it down to you from Maine to wash away your heartache and pain, that you might realize that by being so sad that you have nothing but nothing left to gain, that if you have the essence of our aurora reaching the tongue of your face, happy inside you will attain. And then this one is one of my more environmental-oriented type things. Born on a Berklee College of Music napkin in the cafeteria after watching it on our friend's TV. Down the hall from me in our 150 Mass Avenue dorm. I also went to our library to look up the quotes later that day. This is called Requiem in Homage of Krista McCullough, the Challenger crew, and their unfulfilled dreams. It was a crisp, clear Tuesday morning. What happened came with tinge of warning. School children wrapped in blankets sat huddled and adorning the flight of their Ms. McCullough, with juvenile anxiety spoken. We're all very disappointed we've waited a long time to see this, was what Joanne Jordan was heard to hiss. Megan Corcoran did admit, it's bad because we won't see it. What came to their eyes was a dark and dreary surprise. Listen to the screaming cries coming from the heavenly skies. Look at the dreams that have died. Imagine the good that would have been tried. It's not the technology that should be of much worry. It's of a message of a world in too much hurry. Was it accidental? Perhaps someone just got mental? Or was it governmental? Someday time will tell. Fate must have been on her side. Hope she had nothing shameful to hide and her heart left open wide. What would she have told of her celestial behold? Would it be of a world free of gold strongholds where nations share the boundaries of the continents and the seas, where nature holds the reins of world power in her hands? And this is after Princess Diana. And I'm honoring the Pope in this too. He did a lot for world peace. Diana's Flower, a Requiem. It's a solemn tear shed on the scented bed, earth honor laid in shock of the void of the loss of compassion's royal bud. Hearts torn by theft of the gracious one, who shone radiantly, stunning with her charming style, her mischievous smile, eyes glimmering as azure seas. Reliant more on her core, hearts torn, mourn in gratitude, the fact that she brought the eyes of the world to those lonely, ravaged outcast, who with loving caress she could instantly heal. These were Diana's flowers. The people, they came and added their bowers, but each comes away knowing their own powers. This one is Christmas night 2012. Lace-lined tree limbs etched against black starlit eternity. Enveloped brown blades shoot through, blanket white, singular, 6 points, one never pattern, same ever again. Same as individuals in gene, layer on layer, fleck on fleck. Mound yielding, facets sparkle as sky diamonds fall into earth. Sacred succulents dissolve, touch of tongue, internal embodiment. And this one is People Are People Beyond the Glamour. When you're with people, it's what's inside that really matters. The stage is set when once the artist's expectations have finally been met, and for this the genius must be seriously in debt, quite without their rhinestone luxury Learjet, and mostly thankful for the creativity they are lucky to get. Beyond the glories and the glamour, their lives may be in tatters, or ones that on them really flatter. Please let's hope for the latter. I've spent time with those having fortune's fame, living off of their own name, but they just say, not to dismay, your imagination must come tame. People are people in their own way, and that like you and me, they'd rather stay humble people just the same. When they go out, people look and stare, but remember, we too might share the same brand of underwear. Thank you so much, and thank you for welcoming into your community.
Thanks very much, Heidi. We're out of signed up names, but that doesn't mean we have to stop reading poetry. So if anybody has a piece that they wanted to read but didn't sign up, this would be a good time to come forward.
Anybody holding out?
I have a fun one that I want to finish with, but I don't want to step in front of anybody.
Before anyone else leaves, just we have a sign-up sheet on the back table that's specifically a contact sheet. It would be used only by John and I. We're both married. We both are loyal. Well, I am anyway, so I wouldn't be calling you for anything. But seriously, if you'd like us to stay in touch, and if we have another poetry reading like this, and if you'd like to join us, please put your name and email on there, and John and I will get in touch. Well, I will get in touch. John,
Right.
thank you all for
We're
coming.
going to
Let
try.
John
We're
finish.
going to try and get a little bit of cadence with these events. We don't have a date yet for the next one, but possibly if we can get 4 of them by this time next year, we're going to try and have a much bigger event with Maine's Poet Laureate coming to Freeport for National Poetry Month. That's the goal. So if we get a little bit of momentum, we hope you come back and join us, and that's part of the reason for staying in touch. I know everybody gets 100 million emails about join this and stay attached to that, but if you're enjoying this and want to be a part of it, participate, absorb it, soak it in, stay in touch, and Meetinghouse Arts is a great nexus to stay connected to for that. I just have one fun one that I just want to finish up with. I like to eat, in case you couldn't tell. This is called Eat Pie. Pie shell, oh hell, whipped cream, my dream, blueberry, no cherry, next slice, think twice, belt loop, gut droop, eat more pie. Run fast, still last, up trail, go snail, keep shape, what shape? Breathe hard, right barred, eat less pie. Try fruit, veg, root, skip carb, fork barb, shark fin, teeth grin, more beef, no leaf, maybe some pie. Breathe in life's wind, walk more, fridge door, stay shut, hut hut, fine line, yours, mine, keep the pie in your eye. So thanks everybody for coming forward. You sure can. Suzanne Watson.
Thank you, John and Jonas, very much. This is our inaugural literary initiative that Meetinghouse Arts is undertaking, thanks to Elizabeth Guffey and Ed Bradley. So this is something that I think Meetinghouse Arts is very pleased to be able to focus on and to sponsor in the years to come. It's a very important aspect of what I think is the arts in our community. There's the visual arts, we have a gallery. There's a performance art, we have a stage. There's public art, we have the Pinkies. And now there's literary art, the written word and the spoken word. So thank you all for...
All right, and we have some snacks left over. Please help yourself on your way out. Thanks for coming on a dreary day, and hopefully we brought a little sunshine.